What's up you guys, Dan Russell here, and in this video I'm going to teach you the steps I took to get a six-figure software engineering job in less than a year
without a computer science degree.
Now when watching this video, please keep in mind everyone's got their own path to getting a job in the tech industry. This is just the path and pace that it took for me, and I promise if you stick to the end of the video and smash that like button, no, seriously, smash the like button. It really helps with YouTube's algorithm. You'll be well on your way to getting the tech job of your dreams. My deepest hope is that you can learn from my own experience and apply it to yours so that you can make a huge career transition into a rich and rewarding career that you can be proud of. Now let's get into it. Alright, so the first and easiest step I took that you can start doing today is to start learning on teamtreehouse.com. Teamtreehouse.com is an excellent set of online video tutorials that teach you how to code. It's $25 a month and worth every penny. They have focused learning tracks like web development, mobile app development, and more. And no, I'm not sponsored by Team Treehouse. This is just the site that I chose when I first started learning. I personally started with their front-end web developer track, where I learned all the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. While learning on Team Treehouse, what accelerated my learning was to use something called the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is something that I learned from taking the Coursera course, Learning How to Learn. It was an excellent course, which I'll link down in the description below, that teaches you basically brain hacks to help your brain learn things faster. What I would do is I would get out of my house and hop from coffee shop to coffee shop, learning at 20-minute intervals at a time. Doing this allowed my brain to transition between focused mode and diffuse mode, which is a wonderful tactic that helps you retain and absorb information better. What you do is you take 20 minutes and focus really hard watching on the Team Treehouse videos. Then after 20 minutes is up, stop what you're doing, get up, walk around, give your brain a break, and basically after like about 5 minutes of resting, return back and start focused learning again. Repeat this process throughout the day, and I promise you'll be well on your way to learning how to code. Now, one lesson that I learned is that a lot of the times you're going to be completely bored or dumbfounded on how you'll ever understand this stuff. I felt that way, and it's totally okay. It's what I like to call the eating your vegetables phase. My advice here is to just keep pushing yourself and keep on watching the videos even if you don't understand. I promise maybe like 3 videos down the road, things will start to click and you're going to start to understand the concepts a little better. Now I know what you may be thinking.
But Dan, I'm broke and I can't afford a $25 a month software engineering course on Team Treehouse.
Well, good news is, don't worry, you're in luck. You can get free access to another site called lynda.com through your local library. Through the LA County Library, they made a deal with lynda.com where you can get free access if you have a library card. Now the downside to lynda.com is that it doesn't have the clear learning tracks that teamtreehouse.com has. What I really recommend is that you do both something like teamtreehouse.com and supplement your learning with lynda.com, YouTube, and other online resources. Alright, so after about 3 to 6 months of learning on Team Treehouse, I started to fall into something called tutorial hell, where you really start to feel like, yeah, I know a lot of syntax, I know how to write like a simple web page and style it, but if I were tasked with making a piece of software from scratch, I wouldn't know where to start. That brings me to step number 2, and that is I recommend you do what I did and go to a boot camp. I attended a boot camp here in Los Angeles called Hack Reactor 3 years ago, back in 2016. Hack Reactor is a full-stack JavaScript engineering course designed to help you make professional web apps. You study 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, just on software engineering. Now, if you want to get your money's worth, I recommend actually staying 12 to 14 hours a day, if you can swing it. But that's just me. I'm a little sadistic like that. So how do you get into Hack Reactor? The way I prepared for this is I went on codewars.com, which I'll link below, and I studied their beginner and intermediate level toy problems. Now what's good about Hack Reactor is you can take their test multiple times. I personally failed the first test, but I kept practicing and persevering until I passed the second time. Now the downside with Hack Reactor is that it costs $18,000 up front, which is really steep if you're jobless like I was. Good news is they offer third-party loan options, and believe me, I think that $18,000 is well worth it. You'll easily be able to pay that off once you secure that 6-figure job right after. Now here's what I really loved about Hack Reactor. Each day consists of 3 parts. Part 1, Every day starts out with a 20 to 30 minute toy problem. These toy problems are designed to be like the interview questions that you'll be asked during your job hunt. The point of these problems is not necessarily to memorize the solutions, but to learn general patterns of problem solving that you'll encounter during your interview process. Now, after the toy problem is part 2, a short lecture with a teacher that teaches you the challenge of the day. It's really just a brief description of the challenge, followed by the learning objective that you're supposed to learn by the end of it. So after the short lecture comes part 3, which is actually digging into the challenge. You'll be paired up with another classmate of yours to both struggle through the daily challenge. These challenges might be write a simple Node HTTP server without the use of a framework like Express. And this will really teach you the nuts and bolts of how Node.js works and how a framework like Express works, so that you can really take that knowledge and be able to fully understand and explain that in your interviews and on the job. Another example is nqueens. Nqueens is a challenge where you write a program that basically solves, if given an n by n board, how can you place an n amount of queens on the board so that none of them can attack each other? That one was particularly helpful with solving really difficult concepts like recursion and other things that you may encounter in complex toy problems that you'll be asked in your interviews. What's really great and what I love about this style of learning is that it's super hands-on. You are able to understand it because you struggle through that together with your classmates. You learn from their mistakes and your own at the same time, which really gives you basically exponential growth in your understanding of software engineering. Now listen, this is vitally important and a huge lesson that I learned. It's all too easy to compare yourself with your classmates. And in some ways, it's sort of healthy because it helps push you to be a better person and a better software engineer. But what I learned was you really can't take other people's brains to the interview. You can only take your own. It seems obvious, but don't waste your energy and time and your emotional health comparing yourself to others. There's going to be people that are better than you. That's fine. They can take their own brain and get a job with that. And that's great. I hope that you'll be happy for them because they really did it. But if you struggle with a concept and you feel a little behind, stay more hours, ask the smart people how they did it and to help you understand. Just concern yourself with your own understanding and what's in your brain. That's my piece on that. All right, so halfway through that course, 6 weeks in, that's when things change from that 3-step structure that I just described. You're going to be split off into groups of anywhere from 3 to 6 other students to start your portfolio projects. These portfolio projects will be 3 different projects that showcase your talents and skills that you learned. You'll be writing apps in frameworks like React and Angular and Node.js, using databases like SQL or MongoDB, whatever you choose. These projects are vital because they really give you the hands-on experience of what it actually will feel like on the job. All right, so the last 2 weeks is the job prep phase. You'll go through everything from learning how to write the perfect software engineering resume to how to perform in the job interview. You'll have mock interviews where you are asked real interview questions from companies like Google and Amazon, and then a teacher will basically critique your performance on these questions. Part of these is whiteboarding problems, where this is a real thing in real interviews. You are given a toy problem and you have to complete it step by step without a computer, just writing code on a whiteboard. It's arduous, it's tough. I don't know why companies do this, but it's really important to get that skill down and get plenty of practice with that, so it's not completely new to you when you start the job hunt. And finally, you'll be coached on the proper negotiating tactics and mindset techniques that you can apply when you get that offer so that you can get the highest starting salary and position possible. All right, so here we go. This is my best advice on how to get the software engineering job that you want. Step 1 is make your own personal website and include plenty of projects that you did during Hack Reactor or on your own time. Give plenty of pictures and links to the projects. Include code snippets, blog posts, anything to showcase your talents. This is really your online billboard, and it's the company's first impression of you. The next step is copy someone else's LinkedIn that has a software engineering job. Look at software engineers at Google or other companies that you're interested in applying for. Copy their format verbatim and just fill in like the details with the projects you've worked on. Don't mention that you went to a boot camp. This is kind of controversial, but boot camps kind of have like a beginner's kind of feel to it. You want to convince them that you're already a professional and you're ready to take on the job, because really your skills are at the level of a professional software engineer by the end of this. Companies just don't know. My advice here is take your projects and pretend like they were different companies that you've worked at. Instead of saying like, I learned software engineer at a boot camp and I went for 12 weeks and here's what I know. Don't say that. Say, well, over the past year, I've worked on 3 different projects with teams ranging from 3 to 6 different software engineers. And here's the contributions that I made, and then list out your contributions. This is the tactic that really helped me. It helps the interviewer kind of fill in the gaps in their own imagination, and if they may not even ask further like, oh, well, how did you learn this stuff? If they did, fine. Then reveal, I went to the boot camp and I got to a professional efficiency with writing software. Next step is to apply to 5 jobs a day, every day, until you get a job. Now you can expect this job search process to last anywhere from 1 to 6 months. For me, it took around 2.5 to 3 months to get that job. So these interviews typically follow a 3-part structure to them. And step 1 is they have a regular phone screen, followed by a technical phone screen, and then 3 is the on-site. You might have a take-home challenge in between any of these steps, which is basically like similar to a project that you worked on in Hack Reactor, but it's usually like you can finish it within a day or 2. Now, the first phone screen, they ask you your basic experience, like what you like about software engineering, some projects, what you like about their company. It's usually pretty easy to get through this one. One hard thing is they may ask you about your salary, and for that, I advise you to never say a number. They may push the issue, and they likely will, in which case you can say a range that's a little bit of a highball, like 120 to 130,000. The good news is you can probably get away without saying a number, and my best tactic for this is just like saying like, well, thanks for asking me about that. I love talking about salary, but I want to save that to the end of this process during offer time, because right now you're finding a little more information about me and whether I'm a fit for your company, and I'm also learning about your company and seeing if I'm a good fit. That usually works. If they really give you a hard time, then maybe you want to start considering at that point whether you want to work for that company, because it's going to be an uphill battle in terms of salary negotiations in the future. That's just my take on that. So step 2 is the technical phone screen. The technical phone screen is usually like a toy problem. It's very similar to the challenges you took to get into Hack Reactor and the toy problems you did every day. I recommend just studying in between applying for jobs on Code Wars still and Leet Code, and doing the hard toy problems. This usually involves like you get on a Skype call, you write in a code share, and you solve anywhere from usually like 1 to 3 different technical problems in your programming language of choice. These are hard, and it's hard to get through these, but with practice and perseverance, you will get through it. Now, step 3 is the on-site. And the on-site, the way I see it, once you get to the on-site, you've already won. They just want to figure out whether you can work well with their team, and they really want you to work out at that point because they've already gone through 2 heavy processes with you. These can be very challenging, though. It's important to study really difficult toy problems because you're going to be asked to whiteboard. Practice your whiteboarding. Think of how you work well with others and explain specific projects that you've done and what you can contribute to their company. It's going to be anywhere from 3 to 6 hours at a time, and you may interview from anywhere from like 6 to 15 different people. This is the hardest part of the process, but again, with practice, perseverance, going on these, it's going to become second nature. My advice is to basically just answer questions straight up that they ask you without going into too much detail. If they push you for more detail, that means they're looking for a specific answer. And if you take your time and kind of stay brief with everything and stay calm and not overly excited or overly ambitious with your answers, they'll hopefully be able to suss out what they want from you, and you'll be able to handle their questions with brevity and with confidence. What this process looked like for me was, out of maybe 2 months of applying, I got about 20 phone screens. Of those 20 phone screens, maybe 10 turned into technical phone screens. And out of those 10 technical phone screens, I got 2 on-sites. Out of those 2 on-sites, only one of them turned into an offer. But that's all you need. The way the offer went down for me was the CTO called me directly and he gave me an offer of $95,000 per year, which was under my 100K limit. The good news is he described to me other benefits of the company, like free Ubers to and from work. He described profit sharing that is paid out every quarter. He described that I would get stock options in the company. My advice is not to rely on the stock options too much. It could be monopoly money, but in my case, it worked out. The company ended up selling eventually, sold 40% of itself because we did really well, and I got a huge payout from that. I did a huge mistake, and I caved at the 95K mark. I didn't ask for what I should have asked for, which is $10,000 more. Whatever they offer you, they're going to try to lowball you, and it's usually by around 10,000. So the best thing is if, like, here's an example. If someone's like, we really liked you, we really want you to join the team, we're excited, we're thinking about a salary of 95,000. What do you think? You just sit there and you pause and you're like, 95,000, just repeat that, 95,000. Okay. I really loved your company. I really want to move forward with this process, and I think with $10,000 more, that'll really make me confident with going you. I'm talking with a couple other companies right now. We're in the last stages, and I think with $10,000 more, that'll make me say yes right now. This usually works because they already budgeted around 10,000 more from what they offered you. If they get you the 10,000 below, that means like they got you at a really good deal in their mind. Now, if they don't, if they say no, 10,000 is too much, that's when you make a decision. You can say like, well, thanks so much for the offer. I'll consider it. Let me call you back in a day. Let them wait and marinate on that. It's so important to help give some like white space in between your offer and actually saying yes. No matter, even if they do give you that 110K, just to say you'll think about it for a day, unless they push it, kind of feel that part out. But I guarantee waiting an extra day will help you come back to the table and help you think about the decision that you're about to make. And hopefully you'll get that offer that you want the next day when you call them back. Now, I know what you're thinking because I was jobless too and I didn't have any money. You're thinking, oh, I'd be happy with even just 70K. And yes, my salary was 95K. I should have negotiated up, but the total comp was probably around 115 to 120K for my first year. Don't settle for anything less than 100,000 total comp, of course. Just don't do it. Of course, this doesn't apply to people in the middle states. This mostly applies to people in larger cities like San Francisco, Seattle, Los Angeles, New York. A company is going to pay you with how much money they make from you. And odds are, if you're in software and it's a reputable company, they're going to be making $1 million+ off you per year. They're only paying you 100,000 of that. So that's like a very small percentage for them anyway. If you go too low and you ask for too little, they might think that you really are inexperienced. So the 100K mark is, especially in Los Angeles, the 100K mark is like the sweet spot, I think. And you really should be aiming for that. Anyway, everyone has their own journey, obviously, but in my advice, just don't cheat yourself out of an extra like $30,000. That's a car right there. It just doesn't make sense, and you're worth more. So build your confidence and really fight for that 6-figure job. All right, you guys, that about wraps things up for this video. Hopefully you learned every step that I took to go from knowing nothing at all to getting that 6-figure software engineering job in less than a year without a computer science degree. Now, if you loved this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. In the comment, you can just say something simple like, I finished this video, or I got to the end. Or you can take advantage of the fact that I read and respond to every one of these comments. So talk about your journey to becoming a software engineer, where you're at, whether you're learning on Team Treehouse or through other online courses, or you're in the middle of your job hunt, or you're a successful software engineer working a job that you love. Just leave a comment, I'll respond to it, and maybe we can learn from each other through this community. All right, well, thanks for sticking with me till the end. I'll see you on the next video.